This is Tammy at the Bar R. This is where we ended up at the end of this video, but this right here is what we started with. The lights that we have basically just went along the walls with basic 100-watt light bulbs, and then I had hung 2 task lights down over the tables. We upgraded to these lights. If you see my other 2 videos, I've already showed these, but they're shop lights that can be hooked together. 3 on one circuit. They're 8 feet long, come in a box of 10. And I got those off Amazon. Everything that I used to hang the lights from, I got some chains, 2x4s, clip brackets, and eye bolts, screw-in eye bolts. We have 17 to 18 foot ceilings, so I couldn't hang the lights on the cables that's provided down low enough to be useful for what I do, which is work off the tables, table saw, assemble, and if you've seen any of my videos, you know, the cutting of boards and plywood and everything for the barn quilts. So I took the boards, I attached the eye bolts to them. Then on the eye bolts, I connected hooks for, or all those eye bolts, like I call them carabiner hooks, to put the chains on. And then on the other side is what I attached the cylinders to that hooks the cables to the lights. I got my attachment points marked in the center, went back and pre-drilled the holes just to make it easier to start those screw-in eye bolts. So once we got that done, I was able to get those eye bolts screwed in. And then I flipped the boards over, and you'll see where I start attaching the cylinders. Probably a lot of people know this, but if you don't, an easy way to get those screw-in eye bolts in, once you get them started, just take a screwdriver, stick them in the hole, and go in a circle. That's just a trick my dad taught me when I was probably 10, 12 years old, helping him out in the wood shop. My little helper showed up to give me moral support. Just like with the eye bolts, I was measuring to find the center for the cylinders to use on the cables, then the cables that hook to the lights. I got all that done. I pre-drilled those, got those in, and then I was able to test run the lights themselves. The cables have a little cylinder that you see there on the boards that you unscrew the, I call it the connector. Once you get those in, you feed the cable into a hole that's on the side, and then you go back and re-screw in the connector. And then at the other end of the cable, there's a little metal bracket that you attach on that you then hook to the lights. There's 2 types of connectors with these lights. There's ones that you butt them up together. It's like a little piece I just showed you. It's about maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches long. And I was thinking I was going to have to connect them that way. But when I went back and looked in the box, they actually have like 2 to 3 foot cables that you can attach those lights with. One of the most exciting and most terrifying implement I have is the grinder. I love using the grinder, but it scares the bejesus out of me. So what I'm doing here is I am cutting these chain links into, I believe I got them in 8-foot links. Afterwards, I didn't need to cut them that long. It just is what it is. But basically, I measured them out, got the first one cut, and then just cut me out. I think I do a total of 8. Put them in the vice grip, use the grinder, cut them, and then rinse and repeat. Here we go with math. The 2 main things I had to figure out was the distance between the rafters, how many boards I had to attach to the rafters to hang the lights from. And then the second one was how far down from the rafters that I needed to hang the lights off of the tables. Yeah, this took me a few moments. What I have in my hand is a digital ruler. I needed to have some laser that would point up to the rafter to let me know where I needed to mark on the floor so we could put that up, pointed to the ceiling, so I could mark on the rafter where to attach the center of my boards. I really, really, really wanted one of those fancy smancy laser levels, but they're like 80, 90 bucks. This thing cost me 20 bucks at the local tool shed. First thing I did was I came off the wall and marked where I wanted to put the lights at. I then pointed this up and got a mark on the rafter. I'm put a square around this, so when we come back, I can set that laser pointer back in the same spot and be able to see the rafter where I need to put the boards. So this is what I'm working with and what is left from the old lights. Disclaimer, this is my barn. This is the scaffolding that I had, aka the John Deere tractor. And my husband is an excellent operator. So what you'll see here basically is I went up in the bucket of the tractor. My husband handed me the boards I needed. Once he was getting the mark on the rafter where I needed to put the boards, he gave me the boards. He held up the other end while I screwed in one end, and then I would walk down the bucket and screw in the other end of the boards, and then we just kept on rinsing and repeating. I am not scared of heights, so this does not bother me. But my husband, that's about as high as you're going to get him off the ground. This took us about 4 hours over the course of 2 days to get this done. It wasn't that difficult. It was just basically moving the tractor, getting in the bucket, getting lined up, finding the mark from the laser pointer, holding up the boards, and just trying to logistically get it done with 2 people. It wasn't that bad at all. It was just cumbersome, and it took a little bit of time. This is the second day. Later on after this, we had our friend come to hook up the electrical for us. What I'm doing here is I am putting eye bolts into the boards on the rafters. then I am putting chains in those eye bolts and then dropping the chains down to the boards that I worked on earlier in the video. This is when we start realizing that I cut the chains too long. I called my husband before I cut them, and he said, "Hey, let's just cut them to, I think I cut them 8 feet." But he's like, "We can always raise them. You can't always lower them." And I agreed. So I think I ended up going up like, I think 14 links on each chain at the top, just to get them high enough to where we then can work with them, because you still have another 4 or 5 feet with the cables. Once we got them at about the height we wanted, what I'm doing here was just adjusting one link at a time to get the boards as level as possible, and also to get them in line with the other boards that I had already finished. Big shout out to our friends for coming over and helping to run the electrical for us. I've been wanting this done for probably 3 or 4 years now. We've asked 2 or 3 people to come, and he just happened to be at our house, and he's like, "I'll come this weekend." I said, "Come on!" So we provided supper and some beverages, and so he was able to use my scaffolding to run the wiring up, ran them down the chains, and he put plug-ins on top of the boards where the lights was. I made a mistake in all of this. When it came to the connectors, I thought I had more of the plug-ins, but there was only so many. So when the finished product it is, puts them in 2 lights on one switch, 2 lights on another, but we end up having to do 3 in one because I'm an idiot. As you can see, my husband is a happy operator. He did a really good job of getting everything put up. We got everything stapled up to the railings. He dropped them down to the existing lights, so we already had plug-ins. So whenever you turned on the switch, uh, the sidewall lights come on and the new shop lights come on. Alright, got everything connected here, ran the wire in. We got the lights here in a second reconnected onto the cables, and we got everything connected to each other. And once it got it connected, you turned on the light switches, and lo and behold, we had lights. This made such a big difference for just everyday working in the barn. I want to thank friends for coming out. Thanks for watching, and love you.